We were saying, in your book, you talk a lot about this, you know, the juggling your career, which is a very high-powered career, obviously. How difficult was that for you?
Well, I think, you know, it's an amazing thing to be able to go out to work and do a good job at work and do your best at work. And it's an amazing thing to be a mother and have children or grandchildren. The difficulty is just combining the two. And in the job I was in, you know, we all talk about coping. I don't think men talk about coping in that same way. But actually, I couldn't talk about coping at the time because I was like trying to help other people. So if people came to see me to ask for my help and said, you know, I'm really struggling, trying to combine this, I couldn't say, I know exactly how you'll feel. I'm practically quitting as well. You know, I needed to be like saying...
Did you think about quitting?
All the time, all the time. But once I kind of stepped forward and said, right, women can be MPs, we can do it the same as men can, probably even better, I could hardly then turn around and go, actually, I can't cope, you know, 3 children and being in Parliament. So I had to keep going.
Also, if you were voting late in the Commons, you couldn't very well say, oh, I'm so sorry, I've got to get home now for bedtime. So what was the attitude like? Because it was so male-dominated at that time.
Well, when I was first in, there was 97% men and only 3% women. So it was like, what are you doing here anyway? So I had to be, like, proving myself all the time, and I think that's the case with a lot of women at work. We feel we have to do really, really well to show we're worthwhile in our jobs.
But your husband is involved in the trade union movement, and he must have been sympathetic. Did he help out with the childcare?
Well, he was very sympathetic, and if I tried to be going in with the discussion about, I think it's time I packed it all in, it's all impossible, he'd say, oh, well, look, why don't you just have an early night tonight? I'll bring you a cup of tea up. You'll feel all right in the morning. And he basically was really, really... didn't want me to pack it all in and thought I could succeed. But in terms of the kids, I mean, he and I were of a generation where actually it was quite a leap forward for a man to be supporting a woman to do work. But it wasn't thought that actually the man would play an equal part in looking after the child.
Well, that's often still the case, isn't it?
And I think it is a bit. And it was, you know, in my actual very first cabinet meeting where we'd actually got into government in 1997, we were all sitting around the cabinet table and I was feeling incredibly sort of awestruck and everything. And I saw this civil servant coming through the door with a very worried expression on her face, holding a note, and I was thinking, oh, I wonder what that's about. And I saw she was coming towards me. And I was, like, shrinking down in my chair, gave me the note. It's, ring the school immediately, there's been an accident.
Oh, no.
So I immediately jumped up and rushed out. I mean, it was only a minor graze, but it's like, call mum, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know, immediately something happens.
And did your children ever say, when they grew up, I wish I stayed at home more, Mum?
Well, they didn't actually, which is incredibly generous of them. And I think partly that was my husband going, isn't it marvellous that your mum is going out to work? What great things she's doing. So there was like a brainwashing job going on that I think that they thought that was normal and exciting, bless them. Little did they realise what, you know...
It's an amazing achievement. You're the longest-serving female MP. But in 32 years, yes, now you've got a crash in the House of Commons. Some of the sittings are shorter. Some of the hours have been marginally improved. But it can't be that friendly a place for women still, because if we go back to the 1997 election and all the Blair babes that came in, so many of those women didn't continue. It's still quite a hostile place for women in politics, isn't it?
I think it is, but at least there's more women now, and it's like what they call a critical mass, and they are able to support each other, and they're having children and everything. But from my legacy, if you like, from when I was having kids, when I was very busy in the House of Commons, obviously, and they were all young, that guilt still is on my shoulders, but I'm hoping that I can kind of redeem myself by being a really fantastic granny. That's like, at that point, perhaps, you know, I'll be able to matern myself.
Might that happen anytime soon?
I don't know. I'm putting loads of pressure on.
But then you might...
Sorry, I'm not putting pressure on.
You know, there are rumours, it's in the news a lot, the top stories today, that Jeremy Corbyn, there are rumours that he might stand down. He's denying that,
I thought you'd say he was going to become a grandfather. Spend more time with his family.
Is that a job you would like? Would you like to be leader of the Labour Party?
I think that sort of moment has passed by. I mean, I was deputy twice acting leader, but somehow I always felt really I was right at the top of where I was. It's a very woman thing, isn't it, really? I think the world is actually full of men who are not up to the job putting themselves forward for it, and women who are up to the job not putting themselves forward for it.
I tell you what I want to ask you.